Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
What the hell are you? I'm Batman.
We would be honored if you would join us.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Nerds Galore, where we let that inner nerd roar, baby. Woo! How are we feeling tonight, guys?
Fantastic.
Good.
Ready to rock and roll.
Heck yeah. I'm ready to rock and roll with you guys. Obviously, next to me, I got Daisy Dork over there.
Hello.
I got next to her, we got Halfwit with my favorite movie shirt right there. Yeah, that's right. Below me, we got Mr. Michael Cassell.
Hello.
And next to him, we got Mr. Whistling Breeze coming back after a little bit of a hiatus.
Ready to start the new year right.
Heck yeah, that's how we do it. All right, guys, so we got some stuff we want to talk about. Thanks to the two people so far that are in the watch chat here. As we get going, you guys just have fun in the chat, and we'll keep up with that as best as we can. So first thing we wanted to talk about, we got a bunch of different things we want to talk about, actually. A little bit of Superman. I wanted to get Mr. Whistling Breeze's opinion. I haven't heard his yet on the new commercial. Supergirl. James Gunn, I believe it was James Gunn, right? Halfwit announced that Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then we'll talk about other things in between, I'm sure. We always get off on tangents. And then at the end of the night, Mr. Michael Cassell is going to talk about his cryptid that he's been working on, possible giants here. So let's start us off. Mr. Whistling Breeze, if you wouldn't mind, you've seen the trailer for Superman, I'm assuming, right?
I did.
Okay. What did you think of it? Are you excited? What are your thoughts kind of going in from what we've seen so far?
So I'm hopeful. Obviously, with the teaser, with any kind of teaser for any movie, you can't know for sure of anything, but it looks all right. I'm hopeful. I think with a character like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, a lot of these characters that have been redone every few years, that sometimes you want them to make more changes than they do, and sometimes you wish that they would stay closer to the source, and it's which version are they really going to go with. But so far, I'm hopeful.
Okay. Heck yeah. I like it.
And I'm glad to see his his dog. I'm glad to see his dog.
Crypto,
thank you. I'm glad to see his dog. I love dogs. So.
Heck yeah. Is there anything? Go ahead, Halfway. Go ahead.
I will never let Gazer live down the fact that he didn't know crypto existed before this trailer.
I didn't.
What?
I honestly didn't.
What?
Yeah. I read Batman comics. I don't read Superman comics. I've never been a massive Superman fan.
But
to
like
be honest.
Superman is adjacent to Batman. Like it's his best.
He's
friend.
adjacent, but he's not in the same lane. No, I'm just kidding. I had
any
no idea that he had a pet dog that was a super dog. So that's why I was thrown off, is because my kids watched that. There was like a cartoon movie with like all of the superheroes dogs. Super Pets.
It was actually really good. You should watch it.
I did watch that.
Oh,
and then when I saw this in the trailer, I was like, huh? And I had no idea that Superman actually had a dog. So shame on me, I guess.
As long as the dog isn't voiced by Dwayne The Rock in this movie, we should be fine.
Yeah.
Good point. Fair point.
Nothing against him, but it feels like it might go a little out of character for the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
I love it. So what is there anything out of that trailer, that teaser trailer, Whistling Breeze, that maybe you're excited for? Anything that stood out to you specifically, or you just kind of excited for the entire thing?
So I think that sometimes when you have a character like Superman, it's difficult to write a good story because he is so powerful.
Yeah.
That the stakes pretty much always have to be very high, very, very high. like someone's trying to destroy the world, or something like that. You can't.
Yeah.
It's more difficult. I'll say it's more difficult to have a more intimate type story, kind of like a lot of the more Batman type stories, where it's like, well, this is important to this character, but it really isn't
Right.
world altering. So I'm hopeful with the. I'm not a because it's a teaser. You don't exactly know what they're doing.
Right.
When you see characters, not like, I want to be careful how I say it. It's not like they are like praying to Superman, but like calling out to him to help and raising the flag with his symbol. It could be a story more about something that they kind of brushed on in Man of Steel, where he's supposed to be more of a beacon for humanity to say, this is what we could be if we wouldn't if we could fight our nature and be gracious with people and not take advantage, things like that, and do what we know we should do, not what we could do. Know what we should be aiming at, not what, no one's going to stop me, so I can do what I want. It's like, no, everyone knows. Well, basically, everybody knows how to behave. And when you have a story like that, that can be, I think, more compelling.
Yeah.
Where it's not Superman. I mean, there's going to be some crazy villains, look like. Excuse me, but
kaiju.
Yeah.
That's
but
pretty cool.
Hopefully, also a component of like a more humanity aspect to it.
And I think that's something that I know Halfwit's talked about, and I would agree with him too, is like they bring a lot more of the humanity into this Superman, where it's like, he's not like in Man of Steel, he is this all powerful being, but like, the first shot we see in the teaser trailer is he's laying in the snow and he's bleeding. You know what I mean? Like, and then you get to see this shot, and I agree with Halfwit. I really like this, where he's saving that girl. Those canisters are being blown or whatever, and he like gets over top of her and he like covers her head up. Like he's actually being the people's hero in a sense, and kind of that humanity aspect of it too, which I agree I like.
Yeah. So. I'm happy that we have newer technologies, but I have seen a lot of the final fight of the movie is just a huge CG spectacular. That there's an awful lot going on, but unless you build up that interpersonal conflict, then really it's just an awful lot of aliens or robots or zombies or whatever else getting wiped out. And it can be cool, but after a while it gets kind of old. So, what'd you
think of the guy that they have playing Lex Luthor? I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
Nicholas Hoult.
Thank you, Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
It'll be interesting. I'm not sure. It looks like he is already basically himself, So I hope it goes well. I think characters like that, you have to do it well, because it's kind of like the in a way like the dark version of Batman, where it's like, okay, you don't necessarily have superpowers, but you have an awful lot of will and determination and a lot of money going towards a more dark version of what Batman could be.
Yeah.
So that kind of character has to be kind of like Batman. You can't just have a strong version. You also have to have a smart version. And with this case, it has to be cunning, wily. He can't just be, oh, I'm evil. Ooh, like, no, it has to be like a really intellectually driven type thing.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I'm hopeful.
I agree. Yeah, that's cool.
Can I mouth off some thoughts here?
Yeah, go for it, Halfwit.
I have to say, you can't really see it, but I am grinning under this mask. Dude, Whistling Breeze, you have spoken some fantastic points into this. Like, I know you're a nerd. I can hear the way you talk. You know Superman. You're I'm feeling it, dude. Like, I love everything you said there. Everything in that Superman is this character for everyone to look up to and be like, he's like the role model essentially for the world. That's what he's always been for DC, especially now with like the whole the two different sides, the two different worlds in the comics. Like, there's one that's based around Superman. They acknowledge that the main DC universe is built around Superman. And I think that you just nailed that right on the head. And just the thing that you said about Superman, he's so strong, so it's not necessarily of if he can do it, because we know that he can, because he is that strong. It's just a matter of how he's going to pull it off, right? And that's like, you nailed some fantastic points. And I would like to continue off of what you said off of Lex Luthor, because I know a little bit about him. And I know a little bit about the direction that they're going just from little bits and pieces that I've seen around. Something that Nicholas Hoult said was that this, I don't know if it was Nicholas Hoult or maybe James Gunn, or there was some sort of interview between one of those, I believe it was Nicholas, where he said that this Lex Luthor is a little bit more of a background player. He's the one who puts all of the pieces into place that fight Superman. He's not one that necessarily goes and fights Superman himself, which I believe he is probably behind the kaiju, possibly behind Ultraman, which I think it's pretty solid that that's who the guy Superman's fighting in the football field is. Just because I think there was some sort of toy leak that was like, hey, there's an Ultraman figure that's accidentally been dropped too early. So I think Lex, yeah, right. Well, yeah. Who knows? But I think that from what I've heard, he seems to be much more of a conniver, which I am very excited to see, because one of my favorite versions of Lex Luthor is that, like, in the background, doing all the shady stuff, putting all the pieces together, making things terrible for Superman. While he definitely does do stuff on his own, he also sets up a lot of people to do all that for him, and I think that'll be very cool to see.
Yeah, that's cool. We got some people in the house tonight. We got Outpost Treasure Chest says, "What up, nerds? Looking forward to this. Reminds me of a well-lit Watchmen."
Oh boy. Oh boy. Watchmen.
Interesting.
Star Wars Nerd says, "I want to see what made Superman bleed." And then we got Mr. Pop the Bounty Collector, Ricky. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Ricky, Pop the Bounty Collector in the house. Thanks for joining. That's cool. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see. For me, I'm excited and hopeful, like you, Whistling Breeze. At the same time, I am very, very nervous because, James Gunn has control of this DC thing now, and I know he's got a lot of other things planned. He's got a Batman movie planned. He's got a bunch of other things planned, but as we know, this movie is going to set the tone for everything. Like you look at Marvel, and when we got Iron Man, I mean, that set the tone for the rest of that whole Marvel all the way through Endgame, and it was amazing. And I'm nervous because as good as the Guardians of the Galaxy were, I hope he sets the tone in a good way, because as we know, DC has just been, for the last quite a few years, just been such a mess.
Yep.
And so I hope he does a really good job of setting that tone for the course of the future DC.
Oh yeah.
To speak into that a little, I think Iron Man did set the tone, but I think it did slowly veer away. I don't think anything ever got that dark again. Even by
Winter Soldier may have been.
Sure, I can definitely see that. There were definitely
just mean set the tone in the the type of movie that you watch and the way that the universe is built. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I can see that.
Yeah. Marvel just had a really, really great lightning in a bottle for that first 10 years, where almost every movie was a banger. Even Thor 2, The Dark World, which, looking back on it, wasn't really as bad as they say when compared to, I don't know, Thor Love and Thunder.
Oh, that was bad. That was so bad.
100%. Absolutely agree.
Oh, Love and Thunder was horrible.
I have
Love and Blunder.
You don't need to see Love and Thunder, Daisy. It's okay. It's
Well, actually,
pretty much
you
a
might
waste of
need
your
to
time.
because it's Love and Thunder is one of those movies that it's so bad it's entertaining to watch because of how bad it is.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
it's so stupid. It's funny.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love
It's
Natalie
literally a
Portman.
Saturday Night Live skit.
You love Natalie Portman, you
I
said?
have to watch it if Natalie Portman is in it.
She is, but
They do her really dirty.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
She gets a cool catchphrase, I think.
maybe I don't remember.
I've
I
kind of
think-
blocked the movie in my mind. Go ahead, Whistling
Yep.
Breeze.
well, I think the issue, if you're going to take a movie like the Ant-Man movies and make them the way that they made them, all right. And if you're going to make Iron Man movies, all right. And if you're going to make Thor movies, all right. But you have to understand your lane. And I think the core issue with Love and Thunder was they saw you could say that the stumble that was Thor 2, and they saw the successes of Guardians of the Galaxy, and they said, all right,
And Ragnarok.
we'll bring them together. And Ragnarok, pardon me. And they said, all right, this is how we're going to get it, keep going into the future. And if you look at the character of Thor from Thor 1, it's really difficult to see how he could be that way in like how he got there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with that. And I think this is the concern that we have with the new DC stuff. If you're going to set the tone a certain way, that's fine. But if you're going to change it later, you better have some really good reasons. You better like mark it down. Well, we don't have to know your inner workings, but you have to know. You have to know where you're going.
Right.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, there does need to be, like, if he's going to switch it up like that, we don't necessarily need to know everything, but I feel like the audience, he's got to explain it to the audience why he switched.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And it's much more digestible. You can accept it a lot more if you can see it coming. Maybe not see everything, but understand this character is not happy with the situation, and therefore they're going to change. Rather than, in between that movie and this movie, they got upset and now they are angry with each other, and therefore this. Let it be. Show us, don't tell us.
Don't tell us.
Especially in like a opening crawl or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was talking to when I was on a broadcast, a live stream with like Cantina Talk and a bunch of other guys beyond the Dune Sea. We were talking about a lot of these movie directors try to be way too smart, where like they're like, oh, I don't want the audience to figure out what's happening until the very end when I reveal it. And I'm like, that's what makes movies fun to watch, is you have a little bit of mystery where you don't know everything, but you bring audiences in when you give them the opportunity to figure things out. And then as they figure a few things out, they become invested, like, oh, whoa, I think I know where they're going with this. I think I know what they're doing here. Like, and they become more invested. Whereas like, if you're constantly leaving your audience in the dark and switching what you're doing, nobody's going to be invested in that. And I think a lot lately, we've seen a lot of movies like that where they're constantly switching what they're doing. They're not giving the audience any chance at all to kind of grasp onto the movie, and then telling us we're at fault for not liking the movie. And it's like, wait a minute here. Like, so I just hope James Gunn does a good job with the DC universe, because I'm tired of the DC universe kind of being just, when it comes to movies, just kind of blah.
Yeah. And it's good to have competition. If you have one company that's just dominating, well, then you see, really, you'll see how it is with Marvel now, where they had a really good run, and now they're trying different things, and it really isn't as good.
No.
And if you can have somebody be like, hey, buckle down, make sure you know what you're doing, don't just be silly about it. I think that's good for a whole lot of things. So
yeah. Which is why, like, like a director like Matt Reeves, like I am a little like, oh man, when it comes to the new Batman movie being, pushed out another year, but he just wasn't ready with the script. And like we talked about, I think halfway, was it last week or the week before when we talked about it? Like, I'm glad he's doing that, and he's not like, we'll just figure it out in production. We'll just figure it out in post-production. We'll figure out what the ending is in there. Like, he's wanting to take his time to be like, no, I need to figure out the script, and I need to figure out where this thing goes before we even start filming.
It's story-driven, not timeline-driven.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yeah. So
if you look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they took years to get it all set up. And then you look at the Hobbit trilogy, and they had the Guillermo del Toro was going to be the guy, and then they rejected his setup, and they said, "Well, Peter Jackson, you're on the line, so figure it out." So if you look at some of the behind the scenes things, you can see him. They said that he would sit on set in the morning and try to figure out what he needed to shoot that day. And I'm like, that is a terrible place to be in. Terrible place. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So
no.
If you're the captain and you don't know where the ship needs to go, man. So
that's tough.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Nerds made a
I
very
don't
good
mind them
point.
taking their time. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Nerd made a very good point in the comments right here.
The last one there.
Yeah, Hobbit cartoon over Hobbit trilogy.
100%.
100%. Like,
yeah.
It has the whimsy from the book, especially the original one where it's Bilbo's telling. It's just the animation is it feels like it steeps you in the world, and it really brings out that fantastical element that Tolkien was able to put into the book, and it's done so well. And I do think they have to leave some things out of it. Like, I think it's a much shorter adaptation. Like, it does not have all of the things in it, but it does it very faithfully, and it does it very well. And I think it's very, he's so right. The cartoon is over the trilogy every day.
Sweet. So as we move on here, we've been talking about Superman, and now, they just announced Supergirl, the new Supergirl movie that'll be coming out. They cast Lobo, and they casted Jason Momoa as Lobo, which from the pictures I've seen, he looks like a pretty good representation of Lobo. So, Halfwit, I know this is something you were really excited to talk about, so I'll let you kind of take the reins here. Like, give us your thoughts when you saw that, and kind of what your thinking and expectations are for that.
All right, so right off the bat, I know Jason Momoa has been advocating for this for years, like actual years. Even since, I think it was even before he got the role as Aquaman, he was talking about, like, I went into this, I thought I was going to be Lobo, and they put me in as Aquaman, and I was like, what? Okay. But I mean, just seeing his performance as Aquaman, it feels very like you could draw a line between that version of the character and Lobo. It's Lobo is much more exaggerated, and he's much more out there. And the fact that they've put him into this universe at all is just another reason where I'm like, oh, if they're willing to pull out a character that is this off the wall insane and put him into these movies, like, they care about the stories, they care about the comics, they care about the characters, obviously, because, like, Lobo's insane. Lobo is an insane character to put into any movie. He kills off his entire planet because he's, like, bored, and his species doesn't die, and he finds a way to kill them all. Like, that's crazy. And then he's immortal because he is so just so crazy that neither heaven nor hell want him, so they just throw him back into the living because, like, neither of them want him there. And so that's the reason he can't die. And, like, he rides around on his space bike, and he has a group of, like, telepathic dolphins. Like, what?
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's such a weird character, and I know this because I have the introductory comic book that he's from, which is so weird. He kills Santa Claus and has an army of murder penguins as well. It's so weird. It's so
that's
weird.
Interesting.
He goes to a Comic-Con, like, yeah, I'm not like he goes to a Comic-Con. It's so weird. I believe he fights the Navy, the United States Navy, at this Comic-Con. It's
but like you said, the fact that they're willing to take an obscure character like this from comic books and put him in there, to me says a lot about the people who are in charge of that, like knowing their comic books. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
And
I don't
this
know
is
that I
right up
necessarily
James
say he's
Gunn's alley.
obscure, but yeah, just
He's
weird.
popular now,
100%
isn't
right
he?
up James Gunn's
Yeah.
alley. 100%.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
He's got that weird comedy that they do in the Guardians movies specifically, like
Yes,
with
and
Ego.
Lobo's perfect.
Yeah, he's perfect for that.
Yep. Perfect for it.
Let's go.
Especially since Jason Momoa seems to actually like care about the character, because that's the one that he was like, oh, this is the one I want to play. This is the one I think they're going to cast me as. And I believe he, like, just because of that enthusiasm for the character, I believe he's going to just nail it.
Yeah. I mean, your best projects are always the ones you're passionate about. You know what I
The
mean?
passion
Like,
projects, yeah.
yes,
Yep.
exactly. So, like, if for him this is a passion project, well, yeah, he's gonna nail this character. Like, we might get to a point where, like, I actually really like this guy. You know, as we're watching him, like, Jason Momoa.
Well, that's what
nails
Lobo
him.
is. He's a typical anti-hero.
Right. Yeah. Like a Venom.
I'm
kind
wondering-
of an idea. Like a,
Yes. And I'm wondering if they're going to make him, because of that, the main antagonist for the Supergirl film, or one of the antagonists that kind of maybe flips in the middle of it or towards the end. Because that's kind of his MO in the comics and the stories a lot of times.
So, Michael, what are your thoughts on Lobo here? Because obviously I don't know a ton, but I'll defer to you guys.
Well, I think Halfwit knows definitely more. I follow Lobo from like the cartoon media, whether it be the animated DCU and now the animated movies. But yeah, he always comes. Now he's a high level villain, so he's a Superman, Supergirl level villain, if you want to call him a villain. Antagonist, I guess, would be a better word for him. He's a hitter. But it always seems to be turning towards the third act where he ends up siding with some of the heroes, either for his own benefit or just because the other bad guy is worse than he is. So and because of Momoa being who he is and his popularity, and because of the geek popularity with Lobo, I definitely see them going with him the way they went with Venom in the comics and then eventually the movies.
Yeah.
Got another person watching us here in the chat. Commander Jesse. Hello, over in Australia. All the way out in Australia. How are you doing, sir? Thanks for watching.
Hello there.
Oh man. Whistling Breeze, do you have any thoughts on this Lobo, as Jason Momoa as Lobo?
I agree that I'll say that I hope that he is not the main bad guy. Or maybe
Right.
if he is the main bad guy, he is kind of like was it Ronin for the first Guardians of the Galaxy one, where he's the main one for that movie, but really he's just not like a pawn, but like an instrument for some other person.
Yeah.
Because I think that Lobo would be fun to let him hang around for a while. You know, I hope they don't like, oh, he was in this one movie and now he's gone. For the rest of the DC, this new universe that they're making. Yeah, he was here in this one movie and he's gone. I think it would be cool to have him around for a little bit. So
I will say there's no way they kill him off, because you literally can't. Like I said, he cannot die.
Comics, yeah.
So he'll be putzing around somewhere in the universe.
Causing trouble.
100%.
My 5-year prediction is he's going to get his own movie, if not his own set of movies, probably R-rated, and they're going to go the Deadpool route with him. The Deadpool route.
There you go.
Probably.
That makes
that
sense.
sounds about
Lobo
right.
character.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my prediction for Lobo. Unless DC completely tanks, and I don't think it will, he's going to be a cash cow.
He's going to be,
Michael, what are your thoughts on the whole James Gunn DC takeover? Like, what are your thoughts on that and your apprehensions, or if you have any? But
well, I don't have any apprehensions. I'm just along for the ride. It's going to be good. I guess the only thought is I still would have liked to see the Snyderverse finished. And I still wish Cavill would have been Superman, but I'm happy with the new new Superman. Like I said last week, I'm not really thrilled with the suit, mainly because it doesn't really look jacked. I want him to look jacked. I don't really like the boxer briefs as much, but I understand his reasoning behind it, and I can get behind that. Ultimately, I'm hopefully optimistic. I have a good friend from work who's a huge Superman fan, and he's over the moon, really excited. So, because he's a huge Superman fan, he writes his own Superman Elseworld stories. We got to have him on here one of these days, by the way, because he has one heck of an Elseworld story.
I was just gonna say, is there a way we can get in touch with him? I'd love to get in touch with him.
Yeah, I can make that work.
Yeah.
His Elseworld story about his Superman is fantastic. Anyway, he's really excited about it. I'm excited about it. So I'm hopefully optimistic. My one concern with this movie, it does seem to be a lot of antagonists. If you count the Justice League, I don't know who the heroes are exactly, like what title they'll have. It's Justice Society, Justice League, whatever. It's just Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl, I think. That's three. You got Ultraman, you got the Kaiju, and you have Lex Luthor. That is a lot to juggle. Gunn is good at juggling, like we saw with Guardians and with Suicide Squad. However, this is a Superman movie. It's not an ensemble movie. So let's keep it focused on Superman. You can have these other characters, but let's not make the story about the characters. They are there because Superman's there. I hope that what happens.
100%. Don't forget, we also have Metamorpho and also Stag Industries. Whatever role those two, which are tied together, will have. And you also have whatever that eyeball thing is, which was in the back of that Boots poster, and also a couple times in the trailer as well. So we got a lot.
Which again,
I forgot about
some of this. But Michael, you're right. Like when you think about all the people that he's trying to bring in the first movie, it kind of does make you like, I don't know about this. Like
it's
I don't know how this is gonna work. Yeah. So
it's a little scary that he won't hit it, but his track record, 3 Guardians movies, I think in terms of trilogies from the Marvel side, not counting the Avengers movies, is probably your second best trilogy next to Captain America. He did a really good job with that.
Yeah. If you remember I think they tried to call it the Dark Universe, for the Universal monster characters they tried to create with Tom Cruise and the Mummy, where they brought in. It seemed like they brought in too many people, and it was too much too quick. So, it was dead on arrival, basically.
Yeah.
I will say, one thing that makes me hopeful about that sort of too much too all at once is the fact that they changed the title from Superman, Legacy, to just Superman. Of like they're being very intentional about the fact that this is a Superman movie, and I get the feeling that these side characters, however much they are in the movie, will not be a ton. I think that they put them into that trailer to say, hey, these people are going to be here. It might not be as much as we're thinking, especially because they don't have a ton of screen time. A lot of it is Superman and Superman like related, like he's in a lot of it compared to those side characters. So that does give me hope that it is going to be a much more Superman focused movie with those people as pieces.
Yeah. Where do you know the time?
And I think that's the way to go. Go ahead. I think that's the way to go. Have them be the pieces and have them be like Superman comes, takes care of the kaiju. It's this awesome battle, but it's fast. He comes, takes care of this eyeball in the sky, or maybe that's the third act. I don't know. The other superheroes, like they're losing. Superman comes, saves the day. So the whole movie is about how great Superman is. Going back to what you had said, that all humanity says this is someone we need to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like the One Punch Man.
It's just showing him, and then finally, whoever maybe it's. And then finally maybe it's Ultraman. I'm gonna also make the guess it's Ultraman that gave him the that bloodied him up.
Could be. We don't know. Too soon.
Do you know? Has it been revealed at all, or does anyone know like what the timeline is of like where this movie starts in like Superman's career? Is it right at the beginning, or is it
No.
like closer to like the middle of
No,
his?
it's
Like
not.
where are we at?
No, it's towards the middle.
Well,
Where's the middle? Okay.
It also appears that from the trailer that Lois and Clark / Superman are together, and she knows who he is. That appears to be
Right.
established in the trailer.
Yeah.
I know that they've said
did
that
look-
there's chemistry, so I don't know how much they know about the all of the things. It could be that she finds out in this movie. I don't know. We don't know. But they do say that there is definitely that chemistry there,
Gotcha. Okay.
and it is. I think
Interesting.
it's a few years in. I think it's not super late. Like I think it's probably somewhere in like the first third of the, because they said James Gunn released a thing that they weren't going to do any sort of Superman or Batman origin stories because those stories have already been told.
Good on him. Like we
So,
don't need to see Batman's parents die anymore. We don't need to see any of that, you know, like oh, someone's got some feedback. Mike, I think that might be you after you took your headphones off.
Yeah, what happened with it? Apologize. Is it back?
Yeah, I got
How's
some
it sound
back
now?
feed.
Oh, okay. Let me try. I'm having issues with the headphones, and so I took them off. Let me see. Let's get this off.
Technical
Is that a little
difficulties.
better?
Nope, still hear you.
Drop off. I apologize, but okay. Is it still feedback or no?
Yeah.
it wouldn't be the millionth time Star Wars nerd. It'd be like the 7th or 8th.
Yeah, you might have to put some headphones on there, Michael.
All right, well, give me a second.
All right. I'll just drop him off. Let him figure out his situation real quick. So Star Wars Nerd says, imagine if Superman wasn't nice when that dude threw the cup at the back of his head.
Yeah.
I would have turned around and been like, really, bro? Really? For real?
Right.
Let's see what we got. Are we good now, Mr. Michael Cassell?
I think we're a little better. You guys let me know.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
way
that's much better.
So much better.
Yep.
So much better.
So, you sure you don't need to see Martha's pearl snap for the millionth time?
See, that's the thing. Like, it's a great story, and Superman's origins are great, and Uncle Ben, Spider-Man, like they're great. They really are. But we have seen that more than once. So
Yep.
Facts.
come on now.
Yep, we don't need to see it again. We already know what happens.
Yeah.
So, which is why I also enjoyed the newest Batman. It just went right into him being Batman second year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Like you know what happened. And they even kind of hint at it, but they don't show it
Yeah.
again. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's perfect.
Right.
The only hint they give you is when, the first murder of the Riddler comes out, it's like a coincidence that this week, however many years ago, Martha and Bruce Wayne were also murdered,
Thomas.
like, sorry, Martha and Thomas, I'm sorry. But that's the only thing they talk about as far as like the death, and bringing it up is that, oh, it happened on the same week, however many years ago. And that's it. And then it was done. I was like, I can do that. So, whoa.
We haven't even seen Uncle Ben. I don't think there's been a single, like there hasn't been a photo. There hasn't been anything.
Aunt May isn't a substitute. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh man, we had Mr. Michael Cassell drop off there.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got our next part of this whole deal now, and he just dropped off. Man, oh man.
That's all right. I'll substitute.
Go for it.
Aliens. No.
Superman? Coincidence? I think not.
I think not.
It's like that. Was the movie Bolt when
No, that's the
those
that's
little
the substitute
pigeons?
from The
No,
Incredibles.
hold on. The movie Bolt where the pigeons are lined up or whatever. And he's like, dude, I got this great idea for a movie. And he's like, okay, man. He's like, all right, you ready for it? Aliens. Oh, snap. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Daisy Dork, do you have any opinions on the Supergirl or Superman? Anything?
I haven't really been following along with it. I've never really been into. I guess it's just because I'm still strung on. What's the
Star
other
Wars.
guy's name? He didn't know the other.
Just kidding.
The other Superman.
Oh, Henry Cavill.
You walk the dog.
No, Snyder. I'm still
The director, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
strung on those
Snyderverse.
movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't really like those movies, so I'm nervous about these new ones and, how they're gonna turn out.
Now I will say the Snyder cut of Batman versus Superman was, I loved it. I thought it was great.
The ultimate cut, yeah, that was good.
Yes. Oh, it was really good. I had a bunch of buddies over when it first came out, and I was like, let's do this. We're watching this whole thing.
Sure.
So it was
I
good.
think it connects some more threads that we just didn't get to see, which I think was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Real quick, while we're on the topic of the DC universe, did anybody watch the Supergirl TV show on the CW?
I did not.
I knew of it.
I
I
did
know
not.
some of it.
No. Oh gosh.
Did you?
Never
I'm assuming you did.
Yes.
Did you like the way they portrayed her? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And the
What made you-
Flash.
I've seen the
I've
Flash.
seen the Flash.
I've seen the Flash.
Yes.
And Green
I love
Arrow.
that.
Or
Green Arrow was good.
Yeah. The Legends of
Superman and
Tomorrow.
Lois?
Didn't watch that, no.
I didn't watch Superman and Lois.
It just wrapped up, and I've heard it's really good.
I
I've seen
heard
some
that
clips
is
from it. It's
fantastic.
really
I've
good.
seen some clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I have not seen. So what? Give us your take on the Supergirl show. Like, what do you like about it?
It wasn't too serious. Some of it was funny, and they would kind of flip back and forth, and I like those kinds of shows and movies. It's not too serious for the whole of it. And
The Supergirl Flash musical.
don't talk about that. No, stop.
Is that a
We're
thing?
not
Is that a
even
thing?
no.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
whole episode where the two of them end
It's a
up
whole-
coming together, or I think it's like a 2-episode series or something, where the two of them come together and do this whole musical bit because they both do like musical theater stuff, and they are friends outside of the shows. And it's silly, and they do a whole song called Super Friends.
I heard
Really?
they tried
That's
to
awesome.
get Stephen Amell to do it, and he was like, "No way." They
It's so
wanted
funny.
the Green Arrow to do it.
Oh, I believe it, and I can also totally believe that he would absolutely nope
Yeah,
out
he
of
would
that.
say,
No,
nope,
yeah.
not gonna do that.
Uh-huh.
Tell you what else I'm excited
Great.
for, and I know this is we haven't been talking about this a little bit, but the new Daredevil. I like that Daredevil series that came out on Netflix.
Nice.
You guys watch that?
I haven't
Is that
seen it,
the
but I know
one
of
with
it.
Rosario?
Rosario
Maybe.
Dawson. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I believe so.
watched
Yeah,
that one.
it's really good. Like the new Daredevil guy, I love it. If you guys get a chance to watch that, it's really, really good.
Is it still on Netflix or does Disney Plus have it now?
I think Disney might have it. Let me look real quick here.
Either way, I can
I
watch either one of them.
believe.
But by the way, right back to Daredevil in a second. Just a quick rabbit trail. I did end up binging all of Skeleton Crew so far, and yeah, double thumbs up. Really enjoying it.
It's good, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
necessarily like Star Wars where it's going to be lore or anything like that, which I'm okay with, but it's fresh
Okay.
and it's fun to watch. Kids show or not, I think it's
Absolutely.
fun to watch.
It's a new perspective.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I totally enjoy it. Totally enjoy
Yeah.
it.
What did you think of episode 6 and how they spent the entire episode trying to get off the planet? Like, did that bother you at all? Or
It bothered me a little bit. Like
A
I
little
thought
bit. It took a while. Like
Like,
it was
for me-
almost.
like with,
Go ahead.
I mean, you have 8 episodes in this season, right? Like you're on episode 6 and you take that whole episode to try to get them off the planet. I was like, okay, 7 and 8, you better, I mean, it's going to have to be long episodes. You have to explain a lot, you know what I mean? There's a lot to get to. Go ahead, Michael.
I would say I think the reason they did it seemed to be a lot of character development for the cyborg girl. What's her name? Fern.
KB
Is
or
KB. That's right. Fern is her
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
The girl.
Yeah.
It seemed to be a lot for her. We got to learn about her, right? We got to learn that okay, she tries to be like stoic and tries to assume that she could do everything that everyone else can. Doesn't want to let Fern know or anyone else know that there's things she can't do. I thought that was a really good episode for her specifically. But yes, at the other time, like, can we move on with the story? But the Star Wars has been doing that. Even the good shows, they always throw like 1 or 2 filler episodes in. But I think it's more than just filler. We also got to see gosh, I don't even know the Jude Law's name. He's got like 5 names in the show. We got yeah. We got to see him be more of a scoundrel this time. We got to see him actually. You thought he was kind of falling for the kids, and then he just kind of backstabs them. So that was interesting. So there was some character. Was that the episode prior? That might have been the episode.
That was episode 5.
That's
but
right.
I do like when they bring him in front of, you know, the new captain or whatever, and like he starts. I liked his speech there when he's like, "I'm hungry. Like I've been hungry since I can remember," you know. And he starts off with this. It was a really good speech, and then he ends it with that. That basically it's pirate sea shanty, you know, about the Onyx Cinder and being at Aden and stuff, and I was like, that okay, I like this. That's cool.
That was cool. Yeah, total. So I'm hooked. I'm on for the ride. It was fun.
You're welcome, Michael. You told us to sell it to you.
You sold it to me, and I went out and bought Disney Plus, and I started watching it. Disney Plus was worth X-Men 97 also, by the way. We got to get on that one of these days.
Yes. We got so many topics to talk about. Speaking of which, we got about 15 minutes left. We usually, like I said, try to keep about an hour, as always. But Michael Cassell here, he wasn't on when we did our cryptids episode, but he has one that he really wants to talk about. And so we were like, bring it on, dude. And so, Mr. Michael, go for it. Take it over.
I will go for it. As you know or may not know, I'm a tinfoil hat wearing in a lot of areas. But one of the things which I thought is very interesting are the stories of giants. Now, when I reverse to 6,000-7,000 years ago, Book of Genesis chapter 6, it says there was giants in the land in those days, meaning because the angels of God came down and mated with humans and they created giants. And it says there was giants in the land, then Noah happened, but also afterwards. Anyway, that's kind of the backstory. So fast forward from there to 2002, 2003. There's 3 maybe different types of versions of this story, but it seems to be from different eyewitnesses. Here's the general story. While doing military operations in Kandahar, Afghanistan, I think it was a SEAL team claimed to have encountered this giant with six fingers on each hand, red hair, and they engaged him in combat. One of them died, and they eventually brought this giant down. As the story goes, the SEAL team was called in to do a rescue operation because there was another team that went. They were hunting Taliban. There's another team that went in, tried to find the Taliban, and they radioed, and then radio silence. SEAL team comes up. They find what I think are the remains of these other team members, and then leads them into a cave. They're going into the cave, and they get attacked by this gigantic creature. It's a human. Red hair, terrible smell from what they said. It totally smelled disgusting. Killed one of them, but as soon as and it killed one of them with like a spear, like a wooden spear, and then they all opened fire on this thing, and they ended up dropping this thing. So there's that side of the story. Now the other side of the story is told from a pilot that was called in to fly into this military base in Afghanistan and go down into I guess just go into the military base, pick something up, and leave with it. So he goes into the military base when he gets there, and there's the regular military guys, and there's just like a handful of what he calls spooks, black suit guys that no nonsense look at you. He asks questions, tries to joke around. They don't joke around. They say, listen, what you see here, you didn't see nothing. Don't ask questions. Just do what we're going to do, what we tell you. And that's it. And he goes down, and once again, he has this smell, and he sees on a flatbed trailer a tarp over it, and hanging out the tarp is this huge hand with 6 fingers, and he comes upon it, and it's a giant, probably the same giant from the other story, that is dead now, that the military has, and they're gonna, I don't know, who knows what with. So that's basically the giant of Kandahar story. You should look it up. It's pretty interesting.
That's cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Do they think there are more giants out there? Do you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the other thing. When they were working with the Bedouin shepherds in the area, they were being told, like, listen, don't go in these hills. These are giant monsters in there. Don't go in these hills. And when the military first gets there, they're like, yeah, whatever. These guys, they're just superstitious or whatever. But it turns out they were right. And I don't know if this is an adjacent story or similar one, but I want to say there was one story of people going into one of these caves, and there's a giant bone sitting on like a throne, and the people of that village would bring offerings to this dead giant, I guess, with a lack of a better term, to these huge bones or whatever. So yeah, and there's a lot of other stories of giants, but the ones in Afghanistan are pretty interesting, because now we're getting our military that's, well, been there for 20 plus years at this point. Well, I guess we just left, but anyway. Yeah. So
Post Treasure Chest says the Battle of Takagar. I did a brief on that. Didn't hear about the red-headed giant.
Takagar. I don't know the Takagar one, but all right. Is that the same one I talked about though? Because like I said, there's a couple different I want to say versions or points of view from this story.
Yeah. Let us know, Outpost. Is that the same one, or is there another one? Because that's really interesting. What do you guys think? Whistling Breeze, Halfwit, any thoughts?
I don't know anything about giants, at least not in the modern era. I've heard some talk about, just some theory about or theories about history of giants in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned this backstage at the beginning, but I'll try to keep it brief. But like, just thoughts that figures throughout stories and histories, specifically in Greek legends, these children of the gods, right?
Right.
Hercules or Hercules, whichever you subscribe to, Roman or Greek, or characters like Perseus, or who else? There's plenty others, but like, just thought that these great giant, larger than life heroes who are able to accomplish these great things may have been descendants of giants. Just because they typically stand at these statures that are heads taller than everyone else, and they're able to do these great things, and they have this great strength, and this, that, and the other thing. And there was one specifically whose name I don't remember, and who it lines up with, I don't exactly remember. But there's this one figure, and I believe it is Hercules in Greek, Hercules in Greek, Hercules in Roman, and then there are a couple of other religions, I believe, that have this very specific character who is incredibly strong, a child of the gods, who has these 11 or 12 great feats that they do.
Yeah.
And it's a weirdly consistent figure through a lot of different mythologies and such. And I believe that there is even a through line to a character that is mentioned once or twice in the Bible that people have thought, oh, this guy might be the same character, but seen through different cultures' stories.
That's
it's believed that
the
it's a
biblical
giant,
character might be Nimrod. Could be Nimrod.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah.
And then in the Babylonian mythology, Gilgamesh.
Yeah, could be.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
that's the through line that I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a not to add. Oh,
Real quick, Seth, I want to hear what you're about to say, but Outpost says mine is the Battle of Roberts Ridge, named for Petty Officer First Class SEAL Roberts. It's its own story of heroism and sacrifice, no giants.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Not to advertise another podcast, but there's another podcast called Haunted Cosmos.
Yep, that's where I got it from. That's exactly where I got it from. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Is they're like, so here's this culture's legend, or mythology. Here's this culture, and you can, if you take it back, you have characters like Thor and Baal and Nimrod and Gilgamesh and Hercules and all these guys that they do similar things. They have similar powers. They have similar abilities, and it could be that way a long time ago there was somebody who could do something like that, and kind of like Arthur, where it's been romanticized and people might have let their imagination go a little bit, but the basis would be found in reality at some point. So
fair enough.
Because if you take stories from the Bible, some of them you're like, oh yeah, totally, absolutely. Some people are like, well, maybe this is true, maybe it isn't. But if you take the record that the Israelites wrote down for when they first, or when they were going back to Canaan out of Egypt, they said they were afraid to go into Canaan because there were giants there, and they didn't trust.
They look like
God.
grasshoppers.
They look like grasshoppers, and so they were punished. So it's not like they were saying, we were so strong that we wiped out these giants and we were awesome. They're like, no, we disobeyed and we were punished because we were afraid of these things that we shouldn't have been afraid of. So it's not like they told a story how awesome they were. They were saying, this is a story about how we messed up.
Yeah.
And it's more likely that if someone was going to make something up, they would have said, oh, no. These were huge creatures and we beat them and we're awesome because we're cool. But instead they said, no. We were afraid. They were so big, we were afraid. And again, when with the David and Goliath, the famous story of David, no one in the army would fight him. Nobody. Because he was huge. Goliath, that is. The giant that was there. He was huge. So
Yeah. No, that's good. As we wind things down here, I do want to let people know. So I am, as part of 2025, I know kind of, at least for you guys too that have been on the podcast, things a couple days before we're kind of putting things together. My goal is actually to have the Monday before we actually go on, to have the Sunday before we go on. So tomorrow, I want to have our lineup for who's going to be on that next week ready to go. And then the following day, Monday, I want to be able to let our audience know what we're going to be talking about that week.
Cool.
And so people have a heads up. They can kind of look at things as they want throughout the week. And then when we get to it that week, we can have even more people chiming in and chatting about what they know. So I will be getting a hold of you guys for that. Just so you guys know, those of you who are in the chat and will watch this eventually, that's kind of what we're going to be doing from now on. So I want to be a little bit more ahead of the game on some of this stuff. So 2025, new year, new me.
Nice.
So I'm excited.
That's
though,
what
you
they
guys,
all say.
Right? I'm excited though, guys. We have a little bit of time. We don't have to be done exactly at 1 hour, but like, any guys have any other thoughts or anything else you guys wanted to bring up and talk about?
Nope.
I think we came to a pretty natural stopping point. Like,
all right, fair enough. I just like to ask. I like to keep it open.
It was perfect.
Totally fair, right?
Nerds. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man. Well, I appreciate you guys being on here. You guys, Michael, Daisy, Halfwit, Whistling Breeze. Appreciate you guys. And like I said, we'll let you guys know come Monday. Not only who's going to be on, so you can expect that, but also what we're going to be talking about. So, other than that, I don't have anything else. Again, it's been awesome to talk about Superman and Supergirl, Batman, and Giants. So
And Giants.
and Giants.
Let's go.
So thanks guys for watching, and may the force be with you always.